what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy.
Seems like normally when we have you on, Billy, it's because you got a commitment, and we're here to talk about the commitment. But since the last time we caught up with you, I feel like every single day there's been a commitment. So, I mean, this staff has been on a heater, and it feels like, Billy, like they really kind of value that camp experience as well. And it's something that doesn't just, it's not just fluff to them. Like they want you to come to camp, compete, and then you're starting to see scholarship offers and commitments off that camp.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the best time of year. And to see guys, especially those from Louisiana, that come out and earn that offer from LSU, and you get to watch them get it in person, and the emotion that really, comes over them most of the time is pretty special. Kylan Billiot, the Terrebonne wide receiver who committed earlier this month, earned his offer at camp and really left them no decision. He's about 6'3". He ran a laser 4.59, which is pretty moving, actually, and for a guy his size. And he competed at the elite camp and had a really, really good day. And then at the 7-on-7 tournament, he just was dominant. And so they were left with no choice but to offer him. Sometimes you want to be careful that you don't offer a kid and then maybe say, oh, well, we should have evaluated him a little longer, things like that. Billiot is a guy that they really felt good about after his camp, and they made the move on him and got him on board. And I think he's going to really surprise someone. I think he's got a really high ceiling with his frame, and he's only just really starting to scratch the surface. He's a basketball player too, and a really good one at that. So I'm excited to see how he develops, and he's just kind of the latest camp example as far as a guy that they got committed out of that.
Now, Billy, this might not be the case, but it feels like this staff has a different way of recruiting than maybe the previous staffs. It feels like if they see someone that they want, they don't really care necessarily what the stars are or where their ranking is. Like it's a big eye test type situation. I could be wrong. Like you could tell me, no, it's kind of the same, but it just feels like they go out there, and Michael Turner from John Curtis just got an offer as well. It's like they see the guy, they're like, okay, that guy can play for us, offer him. And it's just like on the spot. Is that like the way you feel? Am I reading too much into that?
No, I think so. And they're pretty particular about who they go after. And I feel like as a whole, they don't waste much time with prospects that, maybe, and this isn't a knock on previous staff because, you're just trying your best to get the best players, but there are guys that, you used to be able to kind of see coming from a mile away that they just weren't going to end up at LSU, but the official, they take a ton of visits and, they go down that road. Brian Kelly and his staff really seem to have a little bit more of a better feel on who they're not wasting time with. And so that their board seems a little bit more tighter to me. And when they do get the chance to offer a guy like a Michael Turner or Kylan Billiot and even Andre Evans, who they had offered earlier in the month, and then he came to camp, and that's when LSU was like, all right, we are all in on him. And he was a great fit. He was a guy that camped before, but they weren't necessarily ready to make the move and offer him. But, for us at On3, he's a top 100 prospect, and I think he's only going to continue to rise. But he's a great fit with what Brian Kelly wants to do from a character perspective, from just his mindset, mentality, and he's a heck of a football player. I mean, 4'4", got the size, got plus length at the corner position. And they really turned the heat up on him and got him on board. And he had just picked up Alabama and Georgia offers. He had official visits to NC State and Michigan set, but instead he shut things down and got on board with LSU. So that's just kind of a big example of where they really trusted their evaluation on him and move quickly. And with Michael Turner, I was there when they offered him. He just showed his impressive twitch. He also is one of the fastest guys in the state. He's got a 10.59. He ran. They did rolling 40s, so he ran a 4.2 in that setting, which kind of equates to like a 4.4.
Yeah.
But he was just so elite in terms of his speed and twitch that they, made a move on him. And he's about 147, 150 pounds, but he's about 6 foot, and they just didn't want to see him go elsewhere use that elite speed and make them regret not making the move on him. So those guys that have elite traits in certain pieces of their game, they move on, and that's what I've seen from them is they really try to hone in on guys that have traits at particular spots and can do different things for them. Like if you look at their secondary board, it's a bunch of guys that can do kind of different things and are versatile. And I think that's just one of the examples, positionally, that they kind of hone in on is finding guys that fit different packages for Matt House's defense. So I like the way they recruit, and I tell you what, this coming weekend is a massive weekend for how this 2024 class is going to look too.
Now, Billy, one of the things that a lot of people were asking when Brian Kelly was hired, could he recruit Louisiana? And then you had that weird situation last year. I say weird. I mean, it's kind of unique, whatever you want to call it, where there were some guys that they weren't coming to LSU. It didn't really matter who the coach was. I mean, you had some U-High guys who decided they wanted to go elsewhere. You had a Tackett Curtis who you felt like you were so far behind, it doesn't really matter who came in. And look, we all know the storylines, but there was, Arch Manning. He was never coming to LSU, and some people are like, okay, well, now I'm a little nervous. And you look up this year, and Brian Kelly and this staff, if the guy's not committed to them, it's still an LSU lean in the top 10 on on3.com. So everyone in Louisiana in the top 10 is either committed or a LSU lean. It feels like that question has been answered.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I think the guys that they have gotten on board, especially, I mean, you look at the top 10, I mean, it is, like you said, littered with, commitments now and guys that are leaning to LSU, but also they're really good players. Especially, I think the top 6 for us on the rankings are really going to be good football players at the next level. You look at Trades Green, Joel Rogers, Deshaun McBride, who had a great camp. Juwan Johnson really impressed over the weekend at the final elite camp when they camped inside Tiger Stadium Friday night. And then Wardell Mack and Dominic McKinley are the top 2 players in the state and are uncommitted. And you got to like LSU's chances for both of those guys in the end. And, McKinley is going to be a battle. Mack is a battle, but both those guys are really elite prospects that they're sitting pretty for. And, yeah, last year was weird. It was just one of those things. But this year is really showing the staff's connections in the state. Frank Wilson's doing a great job leading that, especially, and Joe Sloan and guys that have been in the state before. And it's paying off for them, and they're doing a nice job evaluating some guys late in the process too, like a Michael Turner, Kylan Billiot, and guys like that, to try and fit them in the class too.
Catching up with Billy Embody on 3Sports here on OTB. Billy, T-Bob and I were actually helping out on an official visit a couple weeks ago. All 3 guys were from places outside the state of Louisiana. So what are some guys outside of the state that LSU, have had maybe official visits with? Maybe you think, LSU has a real opportunity to go out there and get their signature coming up on signing day.
Yeah, a couple that I'll highlight were from this weekend, and both from Georgia. C.J. Jackson, the 4-star top 100 edge for us, who is going to head to Georgia this upcoming weekend. He's got Alabama, who brought him in for an official visit. Oklahoma brought him in. And then Jalen Crawford, a corner out of Georgia as well, is another 4-star prospect that LSU is really battling for. And he had a great visit. And to help with them, JoJo Stone, who was a guy that maybe entering the month you kind of thought he might go elsewhere, but he shuts down his recruitment and he comes back and helps recruit this past weekend with those guys, and I think it really made an impact. And then Corey Williams is out of San Marcos, Texas. He's 6'7", 285, 290. He's really how you draw up a prototypical left tackle, but he's also a nice developmental prospect. He wouldn't have to play right away if he got to LSU with just the way they've recruited tackle the last couple cycles. And he has LSU at the top of his list. He's planning to announce during his senior season, and from everything he's told me and what we've heard on our side of things too, it would be surprising at this point if LSU didn't get him. Now this upcoming weekend is massive. You have a bunch of guys coming in that LSU is really trying to get on board, and one of those is Jelani Watkins, who's a speedy slot receiver from the Houston area. You've got Kai Bates, who's I think going to end up a top 100 corner on the rankings when they're all said and done, out of Orlando, who LSU's done a really nice job recruiting. And then one more, a sleeper, in a sense because he just doesn't say much on his recruitment. But Ethan Callaway out of North Carolina is a 4-star offensive tackle who a lot of people are feeling confident on LSU's chances for as well. So this upcoming weekend, they've got 10 guys, I believe, coming in for an official visit. And so this is one of those weekends where it's going to be all hands on deck and a chance for LSU to really stake their claim to, one of the top classes if they can come away with a few guys out of it.
Hey, last one, Billy, before we let you go, and we always appreciate your time. Colin Hurley, the LSU quarterback commit, was just with a group of some of the top quarterbacks in the country. How did he fare?
Yeah, he finished up in our rankings as the number 7 quarterback in the Elite 11. And for those that don't know, it's not just 11, it's 20 quarterbacks that end up. So for Colin to go out there and perform the way he did as the youngest, what we believe is the youngest quarterback to ever go through the Elite 11 finals is really impressive. He's got that arm strength. He had a really good 7-on-7 pro day during it. He was very efficient. I think he finished 13 of 17, had 4 touchdowns, no picks. So, I mean, he's got the arm talent. He's got definitely the work ethic and mentality, especially for somebody so young, to be a really, really good quarterback at the next level. And in that setting, he shined and showed why he's had a really good offseason in the camp and 7-on-7 circuit.
All right, follow Billy Embody on Twitter. At Billy Embody is the handle there. At Bengal Tiger on 3 is also the site. They do a fantastic job there. And I'm a little disappointed, Billy, on your Twitter profile. I saw hashtag Go Bolts with a lightning bolt, and I thought it was the Chargers, but it looks like no, it is the Lightning, the hockey team.
Yes. Trust me, I wouldn't do you like that. It's all lightning, lightning.
Well, there's 2 Charger fans in the state of Louisiana, me and my oldest son. I thought maybe we had a third, but it's okay. It's okay. The work you do will allow it. Billy, we appreciate your time, brother.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.